Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. We got a very important topic and very special live coming at you tonight. I appreciate you guys. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's being safe. I hope everyone is maintaining the social distance and with everything that's going on here in the world today. But first and foremost, it's your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker, Coach Clee, coming at you. And you guys know the rules. This is going to be an interactive live. You will be able to ask questions. Okay, we'll acknowledge the questions the best we can. Okay, understand that we're streaming on Coach Clee Facebook. We'll be able to see comments there. We're also streaming on YouTube under Coach Clee. We'll be able to see comments there as well. So if you haven't already subscribed to those pages, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're also streaming on Clark Tint on Facebook. I don't always get to see the comments on there. So if you're streaming or watching the show on that one or watching the replay from there, I won't be able to see the comments until after the show. Okay. But I do need to know what the energy levels are. I need to know what the energy levels are like. So if you had a good day today, I need you to put a 1 in the comment section. Put a 1 in the comment section if you had a good day today. And you know, guys, those of you that follow the show, you know I don't believe in bad days. I like to call them character building days because you can learn from them, you can grow from them. They're necessary for growth. So if you had a quote unquote a bad day or a character building day, I need you to put a 2 in the comment section. Looks like a peace sign. Put a 2 in the comment section if you had a character building day. Put a 2 in the comment section if you had a character building day, and hopefully tomorrow will be a better day for you. And if you had what I had, and I know I say this every single time, but it's true. It's true. Every single time I go live, I enjoy doing these. I had an outstanding day. Put a 0 in the comment section if you had an outstanding day. It's kind of like this is a bubble, and you're right there in the middle of that bubble, and nothing can penetrate that. Let me go ahead and go to comments. I see Shayla had an outstanding day. I'm going to put my comment, see if it shows up there. Bam. Yes, I had an outstanding day as well. Thank you, guys. And keep the comments coming. If you want the shout out with your name and where you're from, make sure you put that in the comment section as well. All right. Again, like I said, we got a very special guest, a very important topic, a topic that I feel is not talked about enough. I feel it's a topic that's very important, and it's a topic that's a game changer. And like I already said, make sure you check out the Facebook page, Coach Clee. Make sure you check out the YouTube page, Coach Clee. We are going to be on Anchor and Spotify for you podcasters out there. You can listen to the podcast on your way to work or however you like to, while you're working out or whatever you're doing. Listen to that on Anchor and Spotify. That's called In the Lab under Coach Clee as well. And make sure you check out the website. It's scrolling below, workwithclee.com. And on that website, you know I got to tell you what's going to be on the website, right? First and foremost is a book that I wrote 2 years ago. We had the anniversary back in March. It's called March 4th, and it was published on March 4th. We talk about Get Your Breakthrough is the subtitle. We talk about toxic people, toxic situations. We talk about taking care of yourself. We talk about health and courage. So many wonderful gems are in this book. I'm proud of this book because it was the icebreaker for me to writing books in period. It's helped a lot of people. It's helped me. It was very therapeutic also just for me just to actually put pen to paper. The second book, and No Shade, All Light. Clarence Stokes, Herb Thompson, Jason Brown, and myself, we wrote 25 of our favorite quotes and what they mean to us. So it's over 100 quotes in this book with meaning, okay? It's kind of like a devotional or whatever you may have you. We talk about a bunch of wonderful things. For 4 grown men to get together and write a book, that was an amazing feat in itself. Make sure you guys check that out. This book, #Grudge, LIG, 10 tips to LIG. It means let it go. It's the 3rd book I wrote. We talk about holding on to grudges, mistakes, anger. We talk about, again, toxicity. But Les Brown said it best. Holding on to a grudge is like holding on to a hot piece of coal and expecting the person that you're holding the grudge against to get burnt. And instead, you're the one feeling the pain, and you're the one going through all the anguish and all that. Sometimes you got to let that thing go and start the healing process. We talk about that in this book too. And we got an event this weekend, and Shayla's going to talk about that during the showcase. But the 4th book written, which is out and available, it's not available for purchase until after this weekend, The Lab. 43 chapters with 44 past guests that have been on this platform, basically have their expertise, experience, and they're highlighted in this book. This is, again, 43 chapters, 44 people. It's a lot of fun. A lot of work was in this book, and it's been everyone who's been on this platform. So make sure you check that out. I'm not going to talk about too many details because Shayla's going to talk about the location and the event that's going on this weekend. All right. All that's on the website. Okay, so make sure you guys check out the website when you can. Don't do it right now. Make sure you do it when you can. But we are going to. I almost forgot. I did the same thing last week. I almost forgot. I got it. Damon Buxton put together the video for the lab of the book itself and the highlighted individuals. So we're going to go ahead and go to that quickly, and then we're going to have Shayla Showcase. Stand by.
Oh, what an intro. That was an amazing video. And I'll get to the wonderful person who made that and talk about his business as well here shortly. But here we are with this week's Shayla Showcase. As always, we thank the sponsors for your commitment and what you do for us. We appreciate it. This show would not go on without you. So thank you to all the sponsors. And as always, we will make sure the sponsors are at the top of this live once we are finished here today. But first, we have Image Czar LLC, a former guest. If you're interested in work from home opportunities, check out Image Czar LLC through their virtual call center. They offer home-based work solutions that empower you to think outside of the cubicle. Contact Kiana Palmer, CEO, and check out their website, imagezarllc.com. Then moving on, we have another guest. We've got another former guest. We've got the FAR agency. Are you somebody who avoids applying for credit? Do you have late payments, collections, or charge-offs? There may be a solution for you. Tiki Farr Walker with the FAR agency. She's board certified and can assist you with restoring your credit. She can even help you get started with restoring your credit by yourself. Make sure you contact Tiki at www.thefaragency.com, on Instagram and Facebook at The FAR Agency, or simply give her a call for a consultation, 877-297-9707. She can help you with repos, bankruptcies, inquiries, evictions are all welcome. Then we have our third former guest. We have Kendra Mcdowell with Premier Accounting Associates. If you're an individual that needs accounting support for yourself or your business, make sure you contact Kendra Mcdowell, as I said, owner of Premier Accounting Associates. She offers services in bookkeeping, accounting, and QuickBooks. She is having an upcoming seminar called Eat the Frog. So if you're a person who procrastinates or put things off like hard tasks, make sure you check out the seminar. You can also sign up for her free success newsletter by visiting her website, premieraccountingassociates.com. And you can also call her at 717-477-3284. Again, we will make sure we have all of this contact information at the top of this live. And last but certainly not least, the individual that put together that wonderful little commercial for the lab that will be released, I guess, for sale this coming Saturday was Damon Buxton, which is the owner of D2 Training Solutions. They use the latest of innovating and cutting-edge technology to create a unique training experience for the end user. At D2 Training Solutions, they take boring out of training and allow for fun, interactive training that can be done at the user's pace. Make sure you contact Damon Buxton with D2 Training Solutions at d2trainingsolutionsllc.com. And then I also want to always give a shout out to Jay Moore, who makes sure our website is up and running, keeps us on our toes, make sure we have everything up to date. I appreciate the organization and staying on top of it. So thank you so much, Jay Moore, for staying on top of us. You even keep me organized. And then I also want to shout out this Saturday is a very exciting day for Coach Klee and everybody that participates in the lab. So his fourth book, The Lab, is out. It will be released this Saturday. So if you are a part of the book, you can stop by at the event that we have on Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m. The address is 225 Greenawalt Lane. It's in Harrisburg, and that is the American Legion Post 1001. Again, it's 1 to 3, and you're able to, if you're a part of the book, you can pick up your copy, or if you'd like to purchase it, make sure you stop in, give us a shout out, let us know what you think about the show. We can't wait to hear what you think about this fourth book. But you can stop in and get your signed copy of the book. Also, we will have Cy Emery, a former guest. He has 2 books. He will be there as well to showcase what he has. So we look forward to seeing you all this Saturday. Again, it's 1 to 3 at the American Legion Post 1001. And you can find that information on the website at workwithclee.com. And that's all I have for this week's Shayla Showcase.
Thank you very much. I hear that feedback. Yep, it's time to go. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the updates, and shout out to Damon Buxton for that video. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, we have a very special live today. We have a very special topic. I'm excited to actually talk about this because it's something that's not readily talked about. First and foremost, the gentleman coming to the lab right now, you see his name right there. He's a retired trooper. And through his experience and training, he became a strong advocate for suicide prevention. And not only that, he has personal experience, which he'll explain with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give him a thumbs up. I'd like to introduce Govan Martin to the lab. Govan, how's it going today? Let me unmute. You're muted. There we go. How's it going?
Great to be here, Clay. Thank you so much for inviting me. My honor to be here.
Absolutely. And we're here to discuss a major topic. But before we start talking about the topic, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Govan Anthony Martin III. I'm the third and last Govan. No more Govans. Easy way to remember my name is think of Van Go backwards. So, born in Pittsburgh, moved to Harrisburg when I was 9. My dad was also a state trooper as well, and followed in his footsteps. I was a trooper for 29 years, retired about 8 years ago, and have been involved with suicide prevention ever since, and even before I left. I was a strong advocate, unfortunately through personal experience though. But that, if you want to kick off, we can just kick off right now. And thank you for putting on. So if anybody's struggling with suicide or suicidal thoughts, please, or if you know somebody, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. And if you have any questions that you want to know, please, and you guys have a great website here or thing that you're posting up, please ask questions. And so hopefully what we can do here is maybe help someone who's here today or help somebody save a life today. So again, Clee, suicide obviously is not a topic that people like to share or talk about. It's like, it's a subject that's whispered in the hallways that always usually in a ugly and not necessarily kind words, which absolutely makes people not want to talk about it or reach out for help. So again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for making yourself available. And I see Jade Gibbons is on. Thank you for tuning in. And on the other stream, I see Brian Tenner, Danny Santiago, Rick Johnson are watching as well. So please keep the comments and questions coming. If you have a question, please type it in the section, and we will go ahead and answer it to the best of our ability. But I know, Govan, we met a little over a month ago, probably a month and a half ago. You were during training, and during your training, you hit a lot of key topics and very important. And I know one of them, again, we're talking about suicide and suicide prevention. But what would you say are some of the stigmas or why people don't actually like to come forward or discuss any kind of thoughts or situations that may be occurring?
I think people are afraid to talk about it because, suicide brings stigma and taboo. People, especially men, we're supposed to be tough. We're not supposed to have problems. And if we do, we're supposed to handle them ourselves. Well, just like, if we have a broken arm or a broken leg or something physically is wrong with us, we go to the doctor. There is no shame, no harm in doing that. But with suicide or having thoughts or having mental health issues, we tend to kind of retreat within ourselves and thinking that we can deal with it. But there are a lot of issues that, can happen in a person's life where, it's hard to handle. One of the major issue, just the relationship issues. But then there's financial issues. Then there's job issues. But I think people are afraid to reach out because of the repercussions. Men are afraid to reach out because if a man says that they're having problems dealing with things, they're labeled as being weak or a coward. Or, again, all those ugly stereotypes that people give that, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to reach out for help because I don't want to be labeled that way.
Right.
And instead of actually reaching out for help, what do? We turn inward, and then the problems grow bigger and stronger. So, really what we hope to do is get people to reach out and feel comfortable. There's a phrase going on the last year or so. It's It's okay not to be okay. Simplistic, but yet so powerful. So we need people to be comfortable in reaching out, whether it's to a family, friend, mental health professional. If we do just some of those simple things to just say, you know what, I need to talk to you. It's so much better to the person that's struggling, because we know hopefully we'll find at least one person, and there always is going to be one person that cares. And if you don't have that one person, there's people that you can call. There's people that you can reach out to. So again, just having this topic discussed is so huge. I just started a nonprofit called Suicide Prevention Alliance. And one of our themes is start the conversation.
Okay.
And this is exactly what you're doing here. You're starting the conversation into talking about suicide, talking about how we can prevent it, but also talking about what we can do to get the help that we need. So I can't express to you enough my thanks and just talking about this subject that goes on every day, unfortunately, in everyone's life.
Absolutely, and we've got a couple questions here. Damon Buxton shows up here first with his question. How do you convince someone who feels suicide is the only answer that they are wrong?
Well, as I said, one of our main things is start the conversation. We have to start the conversation with them. And hopefully what you can convince them, and anybody, is to somehow, our other theme is connect with hope. So hopefully we all have a hope about something. So when I do my trainings and my classes, I always ask people what they have hope about. If someone says they're hopeless, huge problem. So what do we want to do is we want to, find out if here's the best thing about people who are struggling. If they're talking to us, that means they have hope about something, that they want to live. Just think of it this way. So when, as we all learned in high school, that we're all born with a genetic component to want to live. We had that fight or flight complex, where and suicide is the part where it overwhelms that fight to want to live, or even, you flee to want to live. You're so overwhelmed, but there usually is something they want to live for, whether it's family, their kids, whether it's friends, whether it's just for themselves. We just have to kind of show that we care, offer them some type of hope, and get them the help that they need. Just by simply saying to people, hey, I care about you, and we can get through this together. Offer them hope that, whatever they're going through, that whether it's you that's talking to that friend or it's somebody else, a professional helper, it's getting them the pieces to the puzzle to get them and give them hope to want to live. So actually, there's a research that was just released about last year. And research showed that if we get the person into the right talk therapist, so the right psychologist, psychiatrist, some type of therapist or counselor, and the right medication at the same time, that there's a 92% likelihood that they're going to survive their crisis, whatever their crisis happens to be. That's strong evidence. But what I really want to stress is that sometimes what I really believe internally, you definitely need that professional help piece. But hopefully if you have one good friend, just one good friend that can be there and can talk to you and that's not going to judge you, that is so helpful just in itself.
Gotcha. Thank you. Jade Gibbons asked a question here. I'll put it up here. What are some subtle signs to look for in a possible suicidal person? That's one of the questions we were going to ask. So she jumped the gun, but it's an important question.
Absolutely. So, you want to look for, two big things that we, is kind of an overarching thing, but we look for change and loss. So it's change in one's life. So it could be change in relationships. It could be, someone drinking more. It could be someone acting reckless. It could be someone coming in late for work. Suicide is never just one issue. Suicide is always multiple issues. It's multi-causal. There's usually one triggering or major issue. However, it's the other underlying issues that we often see. It's someone maybe isolating themselves. Someone saying comments like, I just want to go to sleep and not wake up. Or, I just don't care about life anymore. It's making those offhanded comments that, doesn't sound like John or Joe or Jane. However, and when we hear those things that just don't sound right or look right, we often tend to ignore them and like go, they're going to be fine. Oftentimes then we try to fix the problem, especially, Clea, we know what you do. And what I did right now is that law enforcement are fixers. Men are fixers. Can we fix suicide? Not necessarily. We need to get them to the right resources to get help. However, what we can do is just, start off with, hey, I've noticed that you're not yourself lately. What's going on with you? And then just kind of putting, like, in police work, we could say, putting the evidence together. So we put all the pieces of the puzzle and then approach them to go, I noticed this, I noticed this, I noticed this. I'm scared for you. What's going on with you? And most people aren't going to say, I'm suicidal. However, if we ask them the question and ask it directly, I've noticed that, you're struggling with your job. I noticed that you're drinking more. I noticed that you're isolating yourself and that you're alienating everybody. That is not you. You're outgoing. You're a positive thinker. That hasn't been you lately. So what I've heard and what I've seen, it's just a huge change in personality. Which leads me to believe that you might be having thoughts of suicide. What's going on with you? And ask that question directly. Are you having thoughts of suicide? A lot of people will try to dance around the question. A lot of people will say, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Or people ask the question like this: you wouldn't do anything stupid, would you? You wouldn't do anything crazy like kill yourself, would you? And if we ask it like that, people are going to think automatically that's a judgmental question. No, I'm not going to do that. So we have to ask it directly. And we don't want to say, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Because I could be your best friend, Clee. You could ask me that, and I would say to you, I'm not thinking about hurting myself. But inside, I'm thinking about killing myself. So we have to ask it the right way. And we have to ask the question. And what we know right now with research is that most people will answer you honestly. They will answer that question if, you're asked in the right way. If we're not, going to be judged for what happens. You asked earlier, why are some people afraid to reach out and get help? It's a lot of times it's the repercussions that may come along with that.
Exactly.
And it's scary. So am I going to be locked up in a hospital? What happens to me? Who's going to find out? How's this going to affect my job, my friends? So how am I going to be labeled? So again, it's starting the conversation and knowing that most likely we can get help and no one else has to know. But it's great if you had one or two really special friends. My dad always told me when I was younger, if you have one or two or three friends that, near the end of your life or as you grow older, that's an amazing gift. And sure enough, that is so true. As I grow older, you do really find out that there's only two or three friends that will have your back. But also, if you call them and say, hey, I'm struggling or I need you, just to talk. Sometimes that's all you need. You don't maybe need to see a mental health professional. But sometimes we do, and we need to reach out for that professional help. And there's a lot, so if you're worried about somebody and you're thinking somebody, and maybe you're afraid to ask the question, you can reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, to find out how you can help a friend or a family member. You can go to our website at suicidepreventionalliance.org. And actually, we have two separate pages where people can go if they're struggling themselves. How do I get help myself? What do I need to do? Take a deep breath and just, read some of these suggestions. Or I need to help my friend. What do I need to do? So a lot of great information on our website where people can go and reach out for help.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing again. I think it's very important that you touched on the fact that asking the direct question is very important because dancing around the issue can be very vague and just going straight to the source. I know that during the training, you also talked about asking that direct question is not going to make someone change their mind that was not thinking about it into thinking about it. It just gets straight to the source and makes the needed conversation a lot easier to have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big myths. If you ask somebody about suicide, or you mention the word suicide, that's going to put the thought in their head. Total myth, totally false. And that actually, it's a breath of fresh air for the person that's struggling, and somebody asks that question. It's like, oh my God, somebody cares enough to be brave enough to ask that question. And it doesn't put their thought. It's like, now I have a chance to dump. And we all need to dump. I often, even when in your class, so we all have an emotional backpack, no matter, as we go through life. And the more we have in those huge rocks in our emotional backpack, the more that we're probably, going to struggle if we don't talk about our issues, whether it's to a friend, family, or to a mental health professional, which will lead me here. One of the reasons why I do this work, and it was, I got into it more obviously because of the work I did in state police, because I ran our peer support program for 12 years, toward the end of my career. But more importantly is my brother died by suicide, my brother Michael, and he was 16 and I was 17. And so I came home one day from school and found him. I went to Susquehanna Township, which is our home area right here. And the sad part is that, so I came home and found him, and that thank you. But that definitely has changed my life. And so to give you an example of the emotional backpack that I had in 1 year, so my mom and dad split up. So at that time in 1980, I was kind of the only one of my friends that parents were getting a divorce. And then 6 months later, my brother dies, another huge rock in my backpack. And then 9 months later, then my high school girlfriend broke up with me, where I thought that, she was the one, and I was going to get married, have 2.5 kids. And, but yeah, so those three things going on in my life in 1 year, and then not having the ability really to talk about it, and, so going on through life, obviously my emotional backpack did not stop at 18. So it's actually, things happen. Unfortunately, I lost another friend to suicide, and 11 years later. So I found myself actually, when I started the peer support program, and as I told the story to you, I'll tell it again, is that, so one of the questions they asked me to get involved in peer support was, so Govan, if you were thinking about, if you had any problems yourself, would you reach out for help? Now, I'm big bad state trooper. Of course I wouldn't need, of course I know what the right answer is. Yes, I would. But there's no way in my mind at that time, I was like, I'm not going to reach out for help.
Right.
But a year later, I found myself, girlfriend broke up with me, and that was it was devastating on a number of different levels, I think, because she was cheating on me with a friend of mine, all that kind of stuff. Wow. So I had a business meeting with 2 psychologists, and I found myself all of a sudden, I don't know what triggered me, but I found myself crying in that meeting. And they both looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And they go, "We think you need to talk to somebody." And I was like, it was like an epiphany went off my head. It's like, yeah, I do. And, I was advocating for getting help, but I never thought that I would need it because I was different.
Right.
And that really kind of changed my mindset that meant to me, everybody needs help, no matter how tough you are, no matter who you are. You could have all the knowledge in the world. You could have all the money in the world. Things that happen in our life affect us. And the one thing that unfortunately we know with suicide is that suicide affects everybody. Everybody likes to think it's the poor person, or it's somebody who has some type of trauma. That's not necessarily true. It could affect anybody at any time, anywhere. So there is no you can't look at a subgroup of people and say, this is the person. There is no suicide gene. And there is no suicide component that would lead us to say, okay, so with this group of things that they're going through, they probably have a higher risk factor of suicide. They may, but it could be the person who's very successful. As we know, star athletes die by suicide. As we know, people who are, in the acting profession die by suicide. Very successful people, and very just, average people. There is no rhyme or reason that we can point to somebody and say that they're going to die by suicide.
Right. And in your experience in dealing with issues like this, how prevalent is it in the United States of America?
Good question. So we lose a lot of people to suicide each year. So right now, with the latest statistics, we lose about 130 people per day to
Wow.
suicide. So with that, now I always use the analogy of if you had 130 people on board an airplane every day, that airplane takes off,
Mm-hmm.
and those airplanes crash one a day, you would think, how many airplanes would it take for the federal government to step in? We have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the Boeing 737s, we had 2 crash within a month or a couple of weeks of each other. They shut down those Boeing 737s, but yet suicide happens every day. And like in Pennsylvania, it's about average of about 5 per day. So since we've been talking nationally, we've probably lost, unfortunately, about 4 people to suicide already since we've been
Wow.
national.
Wow.
Worldwide, it's about almost 800,000 people.
Wow.
And so really, and those are the ones that, with suicide that are known. So we really believe that suicide is a lot higher than we're actually, that we actually know. So I'll give you an example. Can a 1-car crash be a suicide? Sure. Can without any evidence, can drowning be a suicide? Can an accidental firearm discharge be a suicide? All those things are suicide and can be suicides. So, but they're not actually documented sometimes because there's no evidence. Like if I have a 1-car crash and I didn't leave a note, it's going to be probably listed as a 1-car crash.
Yeah.
Accidental overdoses. If I don't write a note, is it a suicide? Is it not a suicide? As we know in law enforcement, it has to go with the evidence that we have. But I would say probably some of those could be suicides. So, so we know that it's probably a good, unfortunately, about 10 to 20% more than we actually know. So right now, with the latest statistics, it's from 2019, and unfortunately, the federal government is about 2 years behind. So it's this actual statistics that we have are 47,511 people that have died by suicide. But then you add in maybe the 10 to 20% that were not counted. You're talking almost, an additional maybe, 10 to 15,000 people, and then, almost 60,000 people die by suicide. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it is greater than we think. It's the 10th leading cause of death in the country, where homicides rated 16th. And what gets the most attention? Homicides do.
Homicides do, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times suicide are they're highlighted more when it's a homicide suicide, but that's only about 2% of all the suicides that it's a homicide suicide. And most people do not, intend to take their own life and, or take someone else's life, with them. So it's very small percentage, as I just said, about 2%, but yet suicides go on every day. And we can, just with some simple trainings, just get help. And, just like you took that one training, we offer that all the time. So if there's any organizations out there that want to get training for, or help, and, I've taught the churches, schools, law enforcement, any type of first responders, you name it, I probably taught it. And if we don't start talking about it, the more suicides that are going to happen. It's sad that that training and awareness is a lot larger, now than when my brother was alive. But yet the stats are a lot higher. Stats are the highest right now since World War II for suicide. So and we believe with the COVID virus that in 2020, the preliminary stats, it shows that suicides may have went down. But historically, we know with suicide is that with natural disasters, man-made disasters, any major event in our country, like 911, is that people then kind of congregate together. They huddle together. They're more closely knit. Just like they do in the holidays. Most people think people die by suicide more during the holidays, but actually the highest months are March through August. Everybody thinks everybody dies in Christmas holidays, and that's not true. So because more people are together when you think about it. People are together for the holidays. Then you got Christmas, you got New Year's, you got Valentine's Day, you got Easter, and most people are invited. But when things start to get kind of like Joe and John are celebrating spring, and they're having a great time, and they're not contacting me as much because they're doing outside activities and they're with their friends, other family members. And here I am by myself. I'm all alone. I don't know who to turn to. And again, it's being able just to simply have that conversation with somebody and just show them that you care and actually get them the help that they need. It is just so huge.
Absolutely.
So that's why some of these things are just little pieces of information that can help save a life.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I know, like you stated, you give trainings and have you like to start the discussion. And with your business, if anyone was looking forward to having a training or start that discussion, how would they get in contact with you?
Sure, you could always go to my email at info@suicidepreventionalliance.org. And I know that's a lot, so I'll make it simpler. You can go to govanmartin3@gmail.com and get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to help you out. And I don't really, funny, I don't look at this as a business because it's all about the business of saving lives. So I look at it as an organization that can help many people because, as we know with suicide, there are obviously things that go on that would lead somebody to think about it. But if we can stop them, we can get help if they're having financial issues. We can get help if they're having relationship issues. We can get help for whatever problem they have. We can't fix the problem. However, we can make sure that we offer them help and also reassure them that there probably is people that care. I don't have to know you to care about you. Clearly, that you're doing this and you're doing a service for everybody. And I'm really interested in, hearing more about, the lab and seeing all the people that have, and all the stories, because all the stories that are out there really show that no matter what obstacles that we have in life, no matter what our emotional backpacks are, is that we have many opportunities to get through those obstacles, to make a difference, to save lives, to influence lives. So everybody who's actually on, just this chat line today, or is going to be listening on YouTube later, has the opportunity to change a life just by maybe taking a training, just by reaching out to somebody that is struggling, saying, how can I help? Because everybody, as we all know, needs help now and then. There's not one person in life that can say, that they never needed help. And, I get calls in the middle of the night from, text on my phone or Facebook messages that, people that I haven't seen in years, that I went to high school with, and saying, hey, go, and it'll start out with a normal, how are you doing? And then I know, just like nothing, after 12 o'clock is usually probably a, hey, how are you? It's more, hey, I'm glad you're here. And then eventually it's, hey, I need your help, or I need your help because somebody else is struggling. So, and, again, thank you because you help other people, and hopefully the people that are in this chat box can help others as well. So again, I'll mention the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you do, anybody out there know somebody that's struggling, or you yourself are struggling, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. For your younger viewers, a lot of people now like to text instead of talk to somebody on the phone. So there's a organization, it's called the Crisis Text Line. So if you text 741-741, people can use their phones to reach out and get help, and a crisis counselor will pop up to you. I do want to say that if someone reaches out to a hotline or the crisis text line, and you're put on hold for whatever reason, there are always other resources. Just don't stop at one. If you go to a mental health professional, psychologist, psychiatrist, and you don't like them, don't stop going to get help. If you're taking medication, that medication is not working for you, let your doctor know. it's don't just stop it and say, I give up, because there's always alternative, there's always help. And if you need any, advice or help, please reach out to me or anybody else. There are a lot of good resources on our website. And again, there's a lot of people out there that can help someone who's actually having thoughts of suicide.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a hypothetical question that will put me in the equation. Say I came to you, I was going through a tough time financially and with relationships and also my occupation. So many things were in a downward spiral, and I'd come to you and I'd ask for help because of course I still had suicidal thoughts or ideations or anything like that. And we went ahead and had the conversation, and you got me in front of a professional. What kind of treatments or what kind of thought processes? Well, let me ask it this way: would I be taught how to maintain after we get over that initial hurdle?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I said, there is no quick fix. Like I can say, hey, Clee, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to be just fine. And unfortunately, thoughts of suicide are not like that. However, what we want to do, if it was in your situation, depending on where your level is, like you might have told me that you have a plan, that you told me you had the means to do it, and that you might tell me that, well, I'm going to do it on the anniversary of my spouse's death, my wife's death, or something that unfortunate. And so what I would do is I would get you help, possibly put you, and maybe depending on, and that's a high level, obviously, maybe you might have to go to a treatment center. We definitely want to get you in front of a mental health professional. That, there are times when we have to advocate at a higher level, that it's more than just waiting to see a mental health professional, because sometimes it might be a week wait. So if we get you in front of that mental health professional, then odds are that you're going to be hopefully seeing somebody on a regular, level. Like you're going to be probably seeing a mental health psychologist, psychiatrist, or some type of therapist for, it could be anywhere from, 3 months, maybe a weekly visit, or it could be, it could be months, it could be years, depending. Everybody's different, as we know. There might be the same circumstances involved with people having thoughts of suicide, but we know that suicide is very individualistic, which means that what works for you might not work for me. Right. So I might need more help depending on, because remember, we have many possible underlying issues. So because I dealt with suicide in my past, that might mean that I'm going to struggle a lot more with whatever I'm dealing with. And it might be because I was talking to somebody the other day that I was in my training, and she said, I was telling her my story a little bit. She goes, wow, it sounds like you had, even in 1 year, you had some major abandonment issues because of your mom and dad, and because of your brother, and then because of your girlfriend. That's a lot in 1 year to take. And then not to talk about it with friends and family. And so, when I did go get therapy, that was for a couple of years. That wasn't just a hop, skip, and a jump that all of a sudden I'm better. And because not only are you dealing with just that 1 year that I had, but also the other, things that were going on, the relationship with, that caused me to cry in that meeting, but also other things that, that happened in my life. We all have, kind of, again, we all have that emotional backpack. So there's stuff that I had to unpack or dump out. So, and we have to dump out with somebody that we hopefully trust, and that can help us guide us to what we need to do to help better ourselves, to be a little bit more resilient, to be a little bit, how do we take what's happened to you and how to refocus your life? How do we get more people in your support system? So again, I wish, suicidal thoughts was a quick fix, as some things in life are. Unfortunately, it's not. So most times you are going to get, go on for regular treatment for months, but it's okay. It's just it might lessen as you go on, and you might bounce back more. But hopefully, it's enveloping a good support system through that mental health professional, but also who else is going to be able to help you through your life, and who else can you trust that's going to always be there for you. Hopefully, and that support system is huge. But even if you have one or two good people in that support system, that's great. But hopefully we can build upon that and make sure that we're taking care of self, which is always hard to do.
Yeah.
Because we're always afraid, again, of repercussions. We're always afraid that we're being judged. So we need to hopefully find that that mental health professional that should be a non-judgmental, impartial listener. And even if you're thinking that person, really screwed up in life, and you know what, if we don't judge them and go, you know what, it's okay to screw up, because no matter what, we all screw up in life. We all sin. There is, you can't, just get away from some of the screw ups we do, but sometimes it is never done on purpose. Sometimes things just happen, and we just, have to approach it the best way that we know how. And hopefully it's just getting that good support system that we can open up and talk freely and not be afraid of who we're talking to.
Exactly. Good point. Absolutely. Let me ask you, and you kind of talked about it. You talked about it in detail, just kind of giving your background and your personal experiences with family issues that you experienced and went through, and then occupational experiences that you went through on both ends, things that hit you personally and things that you've seen as being part of the peer support or peer response program. But what gives you the motivation and inspiration to keep moving on? What gives you the inspiration to keep wanting to help people?
Great question, because boy, there are some days where it gets tough. But I think that first moment where you save somebody else's life, and I've had the opportunity to do that, and through regular state police, but more importantly is that, when I talked to that first individual who came in my office and said, hey, after 5 minutes, he tells me that he wants to kill himself. Wow. And, I was thinking, you can have all the training in the world, but that first time is really scary. And, when I got him help, I remember, his family thanked me profusely. They bought me a couple gifts. He bought me a couple gifts. And just to know that he's still alive today. And then it's the next one. And then it's the next one. And, that's what gives me the motivation every day, to know that that people can be saved. People can get help. And I look at it this way. I don't want anybody to go through whatever experience my brother went through. He probably, he suffered in silence, that he probably didn't get the help that he desperately needed. And I don't want anybody to feel that overwhelming desire to take their own life. So if I could help them just by letting them dump or getting them to the right resource, that's what motivates me every day, because I know this works. Suicide prevention works. A lot of people say, well, there's still people out there taking their own life, and does it really work? I can honestly say that I would not be doing this work if I didn't think it would work. That if I didn't think that I could save a life, or go out and do presentations, or making people realize that it's not necessarily rocket science to show that we care. And for you to bring up this subject of, suicide, and we know that caring does save lives, no matter how you look at it, just by talking about it, just by showing, some little things about just asking a question, and then knowing that, hey, okay, you told me, now let's get you the help that we need. So you're not alone. I can help you. I can put you in touch with somebody who can help, because there's people out there struggling each and every day. and that they're thinking that I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And their friends and family see it, and they're afraid to even bring it up because there's that myth out there. If I talk about it, it's just going to put the thought in their mind. No, we want to talk about it. We want that, have that person be allowed to dump and not be judged and go, okay, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to reach out for help, and I'm going to be here for you. So that to me makes me get up every day. And also too, I see the impact of also what suicide can do to people who have lost loved ones.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And any loss is hard. Don't get me wrong. But when you are thinking about someone who couldn't reach out to you because they were afraid to reach out or couldn't get the help, I want that to stop. I don't want, people die every day, and it's unfortunate. But when someone dies because they were afraid to reach out and they were so overwhelmed that they didn't do the things that are hard for them, but could be just simple as, I just want somebody to talk to, and just think of I always think of what they must be struggling with. I don't have anybody to talk to. I'm afraid to talk. What are the repercussions that's going to happen if I do tell somebody? And so I I want that to stop. And the hard part is that getting people to take it seriously, because people always think, well, this is a mental health disease, and that's totally wrong, because yes, does it have some mental health facets, but actually most people who it's 54% who die by suicide don't have a known mental health diagnosis. So, and it could be, just having, just by showing that you care to somebody, just having somebody to talk to, that, okay, let's reach out and get you the help that you need right now. And then follow up. Like I will tell you that if you know somebody who's struggling, not only do you want to get them help, but also kind of make sure that you follow up and show that you care. And just say, I know you went to the psychologist. How did that go? Keep in touch with them. Simple things like, hey, let's go out to lunch together in the aftermath. Just because you go to a psychologist does not mean that all that person's problems are being solved, because really what they need is that one or two people outside that mental health professional, outside that psychologist, that are going to be their friends, and just go out and watch a basketball game, or just go to a movie, or do the simple things that friends do or the people care about do every day. But and following up is huge, just by showing that you care, because caring does save a life. Starting the conversation saves a life. And actually, when you're starting that conversation, you're connecting through hope. And hope is one of the biggest things. If we can instill just a little bit of hope in somebody, just by saying that we care, you're going to save a life. That and it does sound simplistic, but a lot of it really is, because the people need. I need people who care about me every day, and I need a reason to get up in the morning. So I'll ask you, Clee, what do you have hope about?
Oh man, that's a very broad and wide question, but I appreciate that you asked me. I have hope in spending time with my sons. I have hope in spending time with my loved ones. I have hope getting up and going to work on the days that I work. I have hope on the days I get to sleep in. But I like the projects that I work on. I look forward to working on those. I look forward to working on those with the people that I work with as well. It's a lot of things to be hopeful for, and it's very uplifting and energetic as well.
Absolutely. But imagine the people that don't have hope. Imagine the people that get up every morning and struggle just to get up. What am I going to do today? Is there anybody that really cares for me out there? Do I have something worth living for? So, and we have to look at it this way. You could be that person. Anybody who's out there in our world right now could bring that hope to somebody. And we all have that capability to do that. And we're not, and again, it's not out to fix the problem. It's just make sure that they get the help that they need. But you could be part of that solution just by telling them that they care.
It sounds so complicated that it's simple, or so simple that it's complicated. I mean, whether you keep it simple, stupid, but providing hope and just showing that you care. I mean, it costs nothing to ask how someone's doing. It costs nothing to check on someone. It costs nothing to care. It costs nothing except the simple fact that you're giving of yourself, and the person on the other end who's receiving that, you have no idea what hurdles they may be jumping through or jumping over through that day, and you just gave them the boost that they needed, and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, it's funny that when I talk to people who are having thoughts of suicide, and the reward for me is that one, they get the help that they need, but the reward for me is that, talking to them a week later, talking to them a month later, talking to them years later, give you a personal reward that I got. So I unfortunately had to go to a funeral. It wasn't a suicide related, but I was at the funeral, and then I'm walking by this closet in the funeral home. Somebody pulls me in this dark closet. I'm thinking, holy crap, but it's like, what's going to pull me in this dark room here? So this person pulled me in and gave me the biggest hug and said, you saved my life. I know I said I hated you when you told me that I had to get the help that I need, but you saved my life. My life is so different now. And, again, another major reward that, that always will be with me, and I've gotten emails, messages, and, just the fact that she's still alive, means the world to me. And along with, there's other people that kind of had to really, push to get the help they need. Believe me, talking to somebody who's suicidal is not easy. And, you could say, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And it's a push and pull. It's a roller coaster ride. But at the same time, when they do get help and hopefully you get them, and again, I kind of know, so especially in this area, some good people for them to talk to, some good professionals, and get the right help that they need, that, to see their life change from being, feeling totally overwhelmed to to feeling good, to getting either remarried or having their marriage flourish if they had one, to go on to have kids and a better career. But more importantly, that they're still alive and that they can actually have a life that they never thought that they could get through at that moment.
Right.
That is the biggest reason I do what I do, is to hearing those success stories, but also know, and I don't need to hear somebody tell me, oh, thank you, just to know that they're alive. That's my biggest reward. Yeah.
I know that's got to be a great feeling. I know it does. I know we discussed a bunch of wonderful topics a bunch of wonderful issues on this topic. Again, like we talked about, it's a topic that's not discussed often. It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's necessary, and I believe you gave a lot of insight on signs to look for, on strategies, on tips, on conversation starters itself, on treatments, on outcomes. But right now, is there anything that we may have forgotten or anything that you would like to cover? Right now, the floor is yours.
Wow. Just know that there is help. So if again, you don't necessarily have to reach out to me or whatever, but if just start that conversation. Just ask them, hey, how are you doing? What's going on with you? I noticed this and this and this. What can I do for you? And then you might have to ask if it's their life is changing to the point to where, significantly, and you're really worried about, ask that question. Are you thinking about suicide? That is going to make the biggest difference, especially if they are. If they're not, then they may need help anyway. But if they are, hopefully they'll open up. And that's when you go, okay, I'm here to help you. And that, you're not alone in this, and that me and you, we can work at this together. And, you know what? I watched his podcast with Coach Klee, and he knows a great person that maybe we can get in touch and talk to somebody on how to get help. So, again, go to suicidepreventionalliance.org. But if you need help, and you need it immediately, call 911, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, or go to the crisis text line and text 741-741. But know that if you need resources, you can always, go to our website. So, or again, please email me. And on our website, I do have a number that you can get a hold of me. And I promise you that if you reach out, I'm going to be there to help out. So thanks, Clee, for having me here today, for talking about this serious subject. But with thoughts of suicide, there is hope. This is not, people always look at it, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a, topic, and it's going to be depressing to talk about. But the nice part about it is that we bring hope to this discussion, that it's not just fruitless, that we can't stop suicide. We can. And really, the best part about it is having discussions like this, showing that you care is going to stop suicide. Asking the question is going to stop suicide. So I thank you, your audience, for joining in today. I'm sure to see you in action, but hopefully to learn a little bit more about what we can do to help others, especially if they're having suicide thoughts.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. And stand by here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. We learned a bunch of we had a great conversation. We learned a bunch of wonderful tips. If you or someone who is going through a situation that you feel they may need help, or they're having suicidal thoughts, the number is right below. Govan gave multiple different agencies and multiple different contacts, but the number has been posted below throughout the entire portion of this interview. All right, so please don't hesitate to have the conversation, and please don't hesitate to reach out. All right. But first and last but not least, I'm sorry. I didn't mean first and foremost. I do these shows to put on. And I say that to say this: if you've got a business, product, or positive message that you're looking for a platform to get that information out on, let me know. Inbox me, text me, get a hold of me, and we can get that important information like this information out there. Again, if you've got a business, product, or positive message, let me know. I will schedule you a time. We'll get you in the lab. We'll tell everyone to get their pen and their pad, and we'll have a great time, and we'll learn something. We'll learn something useful and needed, just like we are today. I want to let me know how I can help, and I want everyone to evolve so hard. All right, and I'm bringing Govan back up on the screen. Thank you very much. I do have a gift. I'll get this to you. I got a gift right here from me to you. I'll make sure I get it to you for donating your time and your expertise. I do have a special token of my appreciation for coming on the show. So I'll make sure I get that to you. But I do have a special guest coming to the lab next week. Do you have any idea who they are? Guess you got to tune in and see. But thank you very much. You blessed the show. You gave it's not an easy conversation to have. It's not an easy conversation to listen to, but it is necessary. And the more conversations that we have that go into the darker areas, or quote unquote the stigma darker areas, it makes the conversations that much more easier to have, and it saves lives. So thank you very much for everything that you do, Govan. I appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys. Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker saying peace. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Get this. There we go.